Well, hello and welcome to Real Estate Investing Made Easy's Feedback Friday. And I'm really excited to be here. Happy Friday to everybody. It's going to be a concise question answering live Q&A, and that is also Q&A from the last week to 2 weeks, as we have had a lot of questions come in. And it's really about you guys. It's about you because of the questions that you ask, the videos that we pump out, and that includes whether it's the Dispo calls, the creative real estate investing calls that Chris and Brad do, or any of the stuff that I do. So I wanted to share a couple things with you. We have a really, really special guest with us that's tuning in right now who is pouring into their education in real estate investing. And I'm super excited to have them on. And they are, look in the mirror, folks. Look in the mirror. I bet you didn't see that one coming from a mile away, but it is. It's you. So we're going to dive into your questions as well. And I'm going to get into right now the questions that have come in over the last couple weeks. And I'm going to the studio, YouTube studio right now, and I'm going to comments. And here's the thing, I don't necessarily audit these beforehand because I want it to be organic and have you see these questions that come in and then answer them. So you can see right here on my screen, probably, let me see if I look this way. Okay, so I'm going to move myself over here. Right down here, we got the first question from Kristen Velez, and that is, where do you find an underwriter? Talking about the 100 offers a day with no long days, quick comps, and mass offers in Privy. Really, really good question. Where do you find an underwriter? So you might not necessarily need an underwriter in your business that's separate from yourself, because clearly you want to underwrite opportunities to see if they're even worth your time of investment of time and investment in terms of investing in real estate, your money. Now, where we found our underwriter was through church. That is to say that my business partner attends a church, and he met this guy. We've been longtime friends. We've known him for a long time, and he was doing real estate investing in a certain capacity already. But more appropriate for where could you find an underwriter other than just networking at real estate investing, meetups and associations like that. You can even look online. Now, we've been a part of a community called Sub2, Fortune Builders, and a lot of other communities where we stay in touch with others that are investing in real estate. We also find a lot of people who bring us their leads and bring us their deals that they can't close, that they have trouble dispoing, and we'll partner in a joint venture capacity with some of these people. We'll facilitate with their underwriting, and we have found people that way as well. It's not that you have to be a rock star or an expert at any sort of analysis already, or have to facilitate somebody else's transactions coming to fruition and getting it across the finish line for them in the same way that we do to find a good underwriter either. That's just to say that the more that you put yourself out there, the more that you're networking, whether it's in Facebook real estate investing groups or whether it's on LinkedIn real estate investing groups, anything related to real estate investing that's a group where you can connect either virtually or in person. Be vocal about it. Talk about what you do and what your need is. In fact, in networking, there's something that might be helpful for you as the viewer who has a similar question as Christian did, and that is, if you are looking to build your team in any capacity and you're looking to network, but if you're anything like me, and I am an introvert, so you got to get out there and it might be uncomfortable, we have a video on our YouTube about how to network and be successful at it, even for those of you who might be a little bit more introverted. And it's called Roam Networking, ROAM. So you can check that out. Just look in our private money lender playlist, because it's part of that where we talk about how to network in a professional capacity, notwithstanding pitching for private money, but also for pitching for private money. So this works regardless. And you can also, if you're like, hey, I'm an expert networker already, and I already knew that. Great. Well, put it in your calendar, because unless you actually take notes in your calendar, it's gonna fall by the wayside. Now, a little tangentially related, what do I mean take notes in your calendar? Well, I'm talking about, let's assume you use Google Calendar, and if you don't, I would recommend it. You can use whatever you want to use. But I'm going to share my screen right now, and I'm going to show you what taking notes in your calendar looks like. let's say that there was an appointment that I'm going to be setting for September, and in September on the 21st, I know that I'm going to meet at 1 p.m. Pacific with an individual. I would go directly to my calendar, just like you see on the screen right now. And I know that I'm going to be taking action on this as an appointment, as a date. So I'm going to say meeting to determine XYZ, right? XYZ. What I'll do is I'll go to more options, and then right here you can create meeting notes. Click on create meeting notes, and then you can open these notes in. So once you save it, you're going to be able to go back into that appointment you just put on your calendar, and then click here, start taking notes, right here. And about action items, they're already here, and about notes. So let's say that you were coming to a private money lender meeting that you scheduled for this time because you were networking with them, or we can even talk about it in a capacity as you're vetting an underwriter. Either way, you want to say, okay, here are the notes, the big takeaways. Like, this is Jim, let's call him Jim. Great guy, and then maybe some rapport points. And your rapport points are he's a ninja sales guy. Maybe some more rapport points are he owns a boat but wants to sell it. And I don't know if you know anything about boats. I don't, but I heard this quote and I've always thought it was funny. The best day of your life is when you buy a boat. The second best day of your life is when you sell a boat. I don't know. I can't speak to that, but when it comes to private money lenders, I've had one of my lenders say that exact thing to me. But let's say as a private money lender meeting, obviously meeting to determine XYZ, you'd put it there. And then action items, right? You would just list these out so that when you come to that moment, you already have those notes. It's an action on your computer, on your calendar. So that's something that I would recommend. This especially works for if you're learning something. Say, for example, right now, you're watching, we get into a topic and it's something that you really wanted to learn more about. Taking action on it looks like what I just showed you. Find a spot in your calendar where you're ready. Let's say we talk about marketing and how to actually get in front of motivated seller leads, the lists to target and how to target those lists. And you say, man, I need to fit that in my schedule. Well, that's how you fit it in your schedule. You do that right now. You don't waste any time. You take notes in your calendar. And shout out to Kyle Rogers, because he is the one that revealed that methodology to me when he was at a ClickFunnels event. And it was groundbreaking for him. And when he shared it to me, it was kind of a light bulb that went off. I said, I need to be doing that as well. So I've done it and it's worked for me. Hopefully, if you take that and you put it into action, you let me know in the comment section below if it worked for you. So that's one question that, as far as finding an underwriter, you want to do. If you need to purpose in your calendar to take action on scrubbing through Facebook, that means putting posts in groups that say, hey, I'm looking for somebody that wants to squat up and wants to do some deals together. I'm strong on the phone closing leads. I'm strong talking to sellers. I am not strong when it comes to underwriting. So maybe that's the post that you put out there. So Kristen, I'm going to send this to you, a link to this active live where I've answered that question so that you have that, because I'd like you to know that I've answered your question live on that topic. So the next one we have is a question by Carranza Hugo. He said, where can I get this spreadsheet? And what we're talking about in this spreadsheet is a deal analyzer, in particular for buy and holds, rentals, wraps, creative deals. It allows for subject to seller financing. I'll tell you, that is the spreadsheet that we got as a result of investing $10,000 into the Sub 2 community several years ago. And that's not something we're able to actually give away. However, if you want a spreadsheet that's very similar to that, and you say, I need something that you can give me, then comment below and we will create something that's going to be just as valuable, in the same way that, pursuant to the previous question that we just went over, we created an analysis spreadsheet that allows you to quickly get offers out and comp properties. And that is what Christian's question was related to in terms of finding an underwriter. We're using and teaching and training that particular spreadsheet that we can give away, that we can have. And actually, to support this channel, we charge like $40 something for it. So a lot of people pick that up and we appreciate that. And if you want it, check it out. It's on the Privy on market offer system. We use Privy, but you can use anything really Privy just makes it a whole heck of a lot easier. And we integrate that with automations inside of Mail Meteor, and we teach and train how to do that. The training and all that stuff is free. You can look at it on there if you're interested in finding on-market deals, because they're all over the country. Cool thing about that too is you can find on-market deals based off of where other investors are actively investing in the country. So you won't have to guess. You say you're in Tuscaloosa, Alabama, and you say, I don't really like this market. It's super competitive. While I won't let you get away with that as an excuse in your current market, because you can get creative and actually take other investors' dead deals and turn them into leads, turn other investors' dead leads and profit massively, even when overpaying sellers, which you can learn more about at getcreativerei.com. We teach and train on that. In the same way, you can say, hey, I live here in this market. I would rather be in a different market. You can. You can invest virtually. You can use Privy. I'll link that in the description below too for you guys to get to it directly. And you can use it to research where the investor activity is highest, whether it's in, which there are a couple places as a spoiler alert, at some places in Alabama like Huntsville for buy and hold. And there's other areas around the country that we're investing actively, where the reason we're investing there is because the market data showed on Privy and told us this is where people are buying and flipping properties. So anywhere that you live, you don't necessarily have to invest in that exact area. But even if you do want to invest in your backyard, research your market in that way using Privy. Okay, so a couple other questions here. We got, speaking of Privy, we have another question that's related to Privy. So they say, this is for a video, full-time mom, growing pains to gains, Privy real estate software. Hi, team Privy and Brad. So our buddy Brad, co-founder, business partner, put this video together and was a walkthrough of this single mom. And he was teaching, I'm sorry, not a single mom. Oh my goodness. No, that was another person. She's not a single mom, but she is a mom full-time, also working to grow the real estate investing business. And she also has her own, like, just really cool social media business. You should check her out. And she said one thing though, the MLS discount. What is the MLS discount? I mean, if I were using Privy platform, are we required to give out MLS discount? By the way, we are doing wholesaling. Thank you so much. I think I understand your question to mean, are we paying another agent, you know, as far as the discount? Because the discount on the MLS, you just make your offer. You make your offer based on what you can perform at or what your buyers are going to perform at because you're wholesaling. So when it comes to what is the MLS discount, your question in particular, I would say it's whatever you decide that it is. Like, and that depends on the market. And some places we're buying 87 cents on the dollar. That's in San Diego because the price points are so high. In other places, we got to find them 57 cents on the dollar if we're going to wholesale. Again, I talked about creative. This opens up other tools other than just the wholesaling tool in your tool belt to deploy. You can find more out about what the heck I'm talking about when you can overpay sellers at getcreativerei.com. So that's, you know, just for sake of, you know, what the MLS discount is. There really is not necessarily an MLS discount. That's a standard. You decide what you can pay for the property and you make an offer based off of what you can pay, based off of your analysis. And even as it pertains to Christian's question in the beginning about the underwriting using Privy, same thing. You just got to use it, do your research in terms of the market itself, and then you're going to be sitting pretty making offers. Now there are some people who are making 100 offers a day using that system, the on-market offer system, which we talked about, and we have playlists that will teach you how to do exactly that. So checking in, just looking at our live questions that are coming in right now. I'm going to get to those in just a second. We have another one that is by Crux on a specific video about novations. So this was a novation, a failed wholesale attempt from a newer wholesaler that was not able to, you know, perform at the number that they got it under contract, right? So we got ahead of that conversation because the seller called us from marketing. We had also targeted the same individual. And they said, hey, I got this property under contract. And we said, hey, we can't work with you until that contract expires. But that person, the wholesaler, totally ghosted them, totally ghosted the seller. And that's the video about that. So the question is, are you assigning your novation agreement and having the assignee do the repairs, or are you actually putting up the money yourself and doing the repairs? The answer is neither. Neither. We're not doing any of that. So, yes, I'm sure you asking the question, you're aware of the fact that you can do a novation deal and you can quote partner on the repairs with the seller before you put it on the open market. We don't do any of that. It's an as is what we do. So we will, and we use it for this way, in this way. A novation to us is a wholesale that we can get financing for. That's the only difference. It replaces the contract that is to novate, right? To replace that existing contract to be able to then market it in a way that makes sense for us to find somebody who has traditional financing. And 9 times out of 10, that means putting it on the open market, listing it with a real estate agent that we know, like, and trust in that area, whatever market it is. And then we just get it, we get the offers accepted as is. So we don't do any of those repairs. And there's a very specific reason why we would encourage you to not do what the suggestion of this question is implying here, that, somebody's doing repairs. And this is it. Because in a world, in a scenario, in a world where you've done the repairs and the seller decides not to sell anymore, where does that money go? What happens? Sure, you can, fight it in court and all that stuff, but at the end of the day, you're putting and sinking money into an asset that you do not own. You're only controlling it temporarily. So you do not want to put any of your own money in there. And I know Pace Morby does that, but guess what? You have to assess your risk just like he does. Does he have deeper pockets than you? I don't know. But if he does, that's the reason he's doing it, because he can afford to lose that 20, 30, 40, 50, $60,000, right? If you can't afford to potentially lose and put that money at risk doing repairs to a property that you actually don't own and you're only controlling it because of a contract, then go ahead and move forward with that strategy. But our caution to you is that that's not really the direction we would recommend you go, because you will be putting your money at risk, right? So I just wanted to encourage you in that way, that yes, you could do that, but I wouldn't recommend it. So to answer your question, no, we do neither. We do neither. We just replace that contract. We offer it as a concierge service. We say, hey, I'm not your buyer. I don't think I can perform at that price, but I do work with a network of buyers and agents, and we're able to get in front of a lot more people than even just standard listings. So what we can do is provide you with our concierge service because your property qualifies for that. And then we pitch the novation and we go through the contract. And by we, I mean Brad, the rock star Brad Garcia, who you've seen going live with each one of these types of calls. And for more details and info about novations in particular, you can go look at our recent lives that have Brad in it. And I can show you a specific picture of what those thumbnails look like. He didn't actually change any of them. So when we look at those, you're going to see that they're exactly the same as they were before. And I'll show you that in a second. But Larry, welcome. And he says, can you make a deal with loan assumptions? Can you make a deal with loan assumptions? Clarify your question a little bit more. Give me some examples of exactly what you're talking about, because, oh, we have another one too. Josh Bennett. Hey, Josh, nice to see you. Hey, Christian, recently watched your video on Creative REI Reply. I had spoke with Brad a few weeks ago and thought we were going to move forward with the launch control, but having second thoughts. Let's talk about that, because at the end of the day, like, we're using both. I can log into launch control right now. I can log into Creative REI Reply, but it all depends on where you are in your journey as to where you should start and what you should add on, because we're using what we call the kind of a triangle approach. We have, on one hand, we have on-market properties that we're targeting every single day, and that's using Privy and the on-market offer system. And then on the left hand, we've got the off-market properties that we're using to get in front of with launch control. And we're also using Smarter Contact as well, because we're continuing to split test these two. We are kind of pivoting a little bit more towards Smarter Contact in some ways, but really they're both being utilized by our team, and we're using them at a high level every single day. And then the third up here is the in-between, and that's where Creative REI Reply comes in. So what we're doing with Creative REI Reply is nothing. And what do I mean by that? We're using the AI to automatically generate. We still have the same need for setups, right? But we're also pitching creative. So, Josh, I don't know your situation necessarily. I don't know where you are in your business. We can talk more about that. I can share what I'd recommend for you. And that's whether or not you move forward with the Marketing Launch Accelerator package with Launch Control or not. Or what might be really beneficial for you is getcreativerei.com and joining our Creative REI Intensive. Because if you get in our Creative REI Intensive and then you're spending the investment every month for marketing to be done automatically for you with Creative REI Reply, and you're pitching those creative angles, you're going to level up your game and level up what you would previously think or consider wouldn't have been a deal. It's going to be a deal. These novations we just talked about a little bit earlier, we were able to get way more than when we had analyzed it as a wholesale. There's a couple case studies. I think they're out. They might not be out yet, but they're coming out soon on our YouTube channel where Chris goes through the numbers, and it's actually an internal team dialogue. So for our real estate investing business, not only are we doing the 3 methods that I just mentioned to you, we're running a team of setters. So we have setters that are going into for sale by owners on Zillow, but they're also going on Facebook Marketplace groups, and they're finding opportunities for us to purchase properties that way. We were telling them, hey, this is just so you know, at the end of this, we're pitching novations and they're working. They're working and they're getting more money than the other methods. So I share that with you, Josh, and I hope you're still with us. It's 10:22 that your question came through. 10:26 is the time right now. So if you are with us still, or if you continue to watch the replay later, comment below or comment in the live chat where you're at in your business right now, because we could talk about it. And heck, if you want, I'll send you the Zoom link so we can talk about it live right now, because assessing where you're at in your business right now, your challenges, they're probably not unique to you. They're probably not. So there's somebody else that's going to come across this video, watch this, and they're going to learn and grow because of where you are and our discussion. So feel free to let me know. I will put a direct Zoom link in there, and that's open to anybody. Larry is included in that, to join me live to talk about where you're at in your business and to help you get to where you want to be, whether that means you move forward with anything that we have to offer or not, right? Whether it's just a discussion. So Larry, thanks for responding to that. He said, I have a couple leads that are open to someone taking over payments, but as a loan assumption and not subject to. Yeah, I mean, that you're just going to have to pay the mortgage off. So, I mean, if it's a cash deal, it's a cash deal. I've done those deals before where, yeah, I mean, if you assume the loan, you're going to have to go through the credit checks and all that stuff, I should say. My point is, I don't want to do that. Why would I want to qualify for that? Now, technically what you could do is if you had somebody that you knew was a retail buyer who's ready to go for that exact deal in a perfect world where this scenario that is like doesn't really exist as far as I've ever seen it since investing in 2009. If you have somebody that's ready to assume the loan, you can basically wholesale it to them. That's fine. But at the end of the day, like if you don't, then you don't. So as you say, you have a couple leads that are open to someone taking over payments, but as a loan assumption and not a subject to. Here's a little bit more context to that. Those are my thoughts, but here's what you can do, right? And I think that's probably more to your point. Why? What is their end goal? Mr. or Mrs. Seller, what do you really want? You want to take payments, but only if I assume your loan? Do we know the benefit of that? It's actually more beneficial for them as long as you're going to continue to make the payments on their behalf if you just take it over subject to. And also, you say, hey, look, I'm not looking to live in this. I'm not looking to necessarily do anything in particular, right? My exit strategies, and this is where the division comes through, right? There's the setter closer model. If you're the setter, right, you're saying like, or even if you're the closer, you're different from the dispo team. You have these divisions in your company and you're like, hey, look, we buy properties and we make offers and we negotiate with sellers to make it a win-win for both of us. Part of that win happens in our dispo. They determine what's best in terms of an exit strategy. We're real estate investors and we're looking to make a profit on this opportunity, whether it's a long-term buy and hold or whether it is we're just going to fix it and flip it and then sell it to a retail buyer. Us assuming your loan benefits nobody in this situation. You, obviously, as we assume the loan, right? Like we're making payments to the mortgage company. Why wouldn't we make payments to you? And you could potentially, depending on their equity position, make payments to them. There's also sandwich lease option opportunities that might make sense for them. But I'd love to talk like at length more about your particular situation with this seller because I have more questions than answers when it comes to this. So if I'm on the phone with a seller and they say, "Would you assume my loan?" No, I'm not going to assume your loan. I'm not going to assume your loan because we're investors. I'm not going to live in your house and I'm not going to try and buy it as a rental property in my own name. We're a business. So I just wouldn't do that. Josh, you said we are starting to focus more on creative side of things. Okay. I love that. I would recommend that for you if you hadn't said that already. So definitely what I'll do is, and you can check it out, good, bad, or indifferent. It's www.getcreativerei.com. Josh says, I have primarily been wholesaling for the last several months, and I don't want to continue to lose deals. Been diving into all the different creative tools to be able to pivot. Yeah, okay, so I'll definitely say check out getcreativerei.com. It's just me. You're going to see me in a video talking about like case studies, and then there's a bunch of other people who are already in the Creative REI Intensive. There's like testimonials and stuff like that. It's a paid thing. Like I'm not pulling any stops out here. Like we coach, teach, train, and mentor people, and all the feedback from this event, the Creative REI Intensive, it's 9 weeks. Like they're elevating their game to be able to do exactly what you said your goal was. And if we're a good fit, awesome, dude. I would love to have you. I would love to have you on that. And then we also, everybody in the Creative REI Intensive gets our weekly masterminds. So we're talking back and forth about like high level deals, right? In their businesses, in our clients' businesses. So I'd love to see you on there. And also you can schedule another call, even with Brad, if you want. We could talk one-on-one. That's totally fine. I'd love to benefit you in any way that I possibly can. And Larry, you're welcome. Yeah, assumption of loans isn't something that I would even entertain. It's just like what their end goal is. If they want to take payments, okay, well, you get a private money lender and like cash them out. There's so many different ways you could structure that, but it all depends on their goal, what the seller's goal is. And it looks like you have a couple leads like that. So you would want to get more clarity around what they really truly need and then look at their need. Especially because, I don't know very many problems that require, let's just say it's a $400,000 house and it's free and clear. I don't know very many problems that require $400,000 cash in the bank to solve. Unless you're like drug dealer, something like that, and then you just started getting into real estate investing. I don't know. I'm not in that world, but I found out very, very quickly through a series of questionings with sellers just saying like, hey, what are you going to do? Are you going to buy another house? And what they really need is, oh, I don't need $400,000 right away. I just need 50 for a down payment on another house because I'm trying to upgrade. Okay, great. We could talk about getting you $50,000. So what we do is we'll get a lender to bring 50K in either first or second position, depending on the equity in the property, if there's a mortgage or not. And then we can, structure it seller financing and then make payments to them. If their value and their highest aim is, I would love to just get 50K and they want to sell it for 400 or whatever, then let's do that. If they also want to receive payments every single month, it's mailbox money. And oh, by the way, I would never talk about the interest rate either. I would just internally in here in this area, assume it's zero. Assume it's zero. And then like make your discussion centered around, well, how much would you like to get paid every single month? That's it. And don't necessarily talk about principal and interest. Obviously, some sellers are going to bring it up, and that's totally fine. You can have that conversation if they bring it up. But what you're trying to do is make an attractive offer for them that's also attractive for you as an investor. So don't be shy to tell them I'm not your buyer, especially when we're talking about Josh. Josh, when you're talking about creative angles, I don't know where you are in your journey of learning and growing in the creative pitch, but the I'm not your buyer is huge. It's huge because that is just such a level of transparency that most investors will not provide for sellers. And the sellers are, very thankful. I'm not your buyer, but, and then it's, what are you talking about? Is it going to be a wholesale that you're just going to wholesale to somebody else? Maybe you have a buyer. Is it going to be a novation pitch, right? Is it going to be a sandwich lease option discussion where it's like, I don't know if I'm your buyer, but it looks like a good opportunity to rent. I may be able to actually find somebody looking to buy this property. Would you and rent it out for a while and then buy it? How would you feel about taking payments and then eventually just letting me buy it? Right? So that's a lease option, and you can turn it into a sandwich lease option. So all that said, there's more questions that came through this week. We have about 10 more minutes. So if you have any other questions tuning in live, ask. I'm going to start answering some questions that came through, or continue to answer more questions that came through. And yes, I realize I've been told before I wave my hands a lot when I talk. So I guess that's the Italian that's not in me. All right. So we have another question here. He seemed pretty open to the idea. What was the result? Did you end up closing the novation? I need the follow-up video. And of course, that is specifically regarding this video right here. The seller's mad, right? The original seller's mad because the wholesaler ghosted this person. I think we ended up going into contract because this was a long time ago. So we posted, this was an older video that we posted waiting for that. So we have not yet posted the follow-up video to that. So a couple other ones. I was searching Privy and saw your video. Does the 2000 function mean at the yeah, you know what? Honestly, I'm not the rocket scientist that put that together. I can teach you about deals and how to negotiate and all that stuff. But when it comes to spreadsheet, what are they called? Formulas. I'm not your guy. I'm not your guy. But I'll get that answered for you, and I'll respond in the comment section later, Sherry. So thank you for asking. Yeah, and so those are the couple questions that were remaining, and there's really nothing else. So I bid all of you adieu. Thanks so much for tuning in. Again, we talked about creative real estate investing. You can check that out, getcreativerei.com. Find out more about what's going on in the creative space, and then hopefully join us in the Creative REI Intensive. All right, everybody, thanks so much. Let's continue to tune in together. We'll make real estate investing easy. Loved having you guys on. Have a wonderful weekend. See you next time.